Brilliant sunlight marks the start. Vacation plans crumble as I stroll the beach with ice cream, only to suddenly awaken inside someone else's unfamiliar body. Dread sets in instantly. Unexpected reality hits hard. I am in a new world, possessing someone named Lucas. The strangeness lingers as I listen to knocks and voices outside the old wooden room's door. Patient concern continues. Mrs. Schmidt stands in the hallway, holding a tray with stew and sandwiches, knocking and quietly speaking to the silent occupant of the closed door. Lively voices echo. Daniel, tall and easygoing, greets Mrs. Schmidt on the stairs. He grabs a sandwich, flashes a grin, and teases her with quick wit as she fusses over him. Bleak reflection follows. Alone at last, I exhale, propping myself up from the cramped bed. The sickly stranger in the mirror glares back, unfamiliar shadows haunting his tired eyes. Idle cursing fills air, my reflection grimaces, lips mouthing quiet fury. Life's utterly ruined, trapped inside this sick, pale body, struggling to accept that nothing will ever be the same. Glimpses of old life rush in. At 32, I was unspectacular. Average looks, no talent, hard worker in a crowded city. Corporate drudgery left me chasing impossible dreams and hollow goals. Rumination weighs down. I've entered a fantasy realm, but exhilaration fades fast, knowing I've landed in a totalitarian nightmare, a ruthless dystopia masquerading as a magical wonderland. Gray authority looms ahead. Staring up at the foreboding office, I gather my nerves. Crude slogans and a strict-fisted salute mark another day beneath the all-seeing Supreme Leader's regime. Grueling history replays. The world's past is complex. Kingdoms rose and fell, revolutions swept continents, and now Kruger rules Shufaben with absolute power under ever-watchful eyes. Dissent is deadly here. Kruger's dictatorship saturates everything. Even mundane office rituals demand total loyalty, my frail body forced to salute and cough at every authority figure's command. Simplest work fills my day, filing, correcting typos, odd jobs in a dull archive room with peeling walls. I am Lucas Redan, once noble, now a sickly ninth-grade clerk barely scraping by. Recitation becomes routine habit. Each day, Lucas, once standing before his civil service certificate, repeating his loyalty oath with utmost sincerity. Now I inherit that ritual, mouth dry with dread. Rumors swirl around Kruger. Lucas was a zealot, obsessed with military glory, idolizing the brutal dictator. Yet the system's sickness made countless young men eager for war's blood-soaked pomp. Harsh disappointment was Lucas's fate. Rejected by the army for frailty, he wasted youth and health on booze, gambling, and regret, eventually pitied and sponsored into a dead-end clerk's post. Drab monotony stretches forever. Today, my third day inside Lucas's skin, I hide in Mrs. Schmidt's rented room, wrestling memories and brewing silent panic, all while the world spins outside. Archival boredom remains constant. Dim desk lamp illuminates paperwork and heaps of dust while I sway in a battered chair, feet propped up, pondering if I'll ever escape this world's storm. Reasons for despair multiply. War looms over Shufaben. My body remains sickly and frail, and the original Lucas's record of fanatical regime loyalty would doom any hope of escape abroad. Extinction edges close. Shufaben's overwhelming military power means even defectors are doomed. If dictatorship wins, the world regresses. If it loses, shells or flame will claim us all. Desperate resolve steals me. No grand dreams, my only hope is survival. I'll hold on to this lowly job, stay attuned for chances, and strive to outlive the storm as a grade 9 civil servant. Sharp bell sounds pulled me from thoughts. I hadn't eaten in almost 3 days, lost in reconstructing memories and rushing to work. My stomach aches for real nourishment now. Unnoticed hunger gnawed inside. Mrs. Schmidt, every bit the worried landlord, handed me a lunchbox, compassion radiating from her. She's an angel to someone even like Lucas. Ham, egg, and lettuce sandwich filled my mouth with comfort. This world's food surprised me by being simple and familiar, not so different from what I remembered from Earth's kitchens. New knocks at the door interrupted lunch. My body reacted automatically, launching into rigid greetings and the mandatory salute. Emil Hoffman entered with kindly smile, lunchbox in hand. Unplanned lunch together. I realized too late that Hoffman expected our usual meal routine. Acting cheerful, I invited him out, hiding my discomfort behind Lucas's automatic habits and nervous smile. Summer Plaza shimmered under clear skies. We strolled together, Hoffman chatting easily, while I forced myself to mirror Lucas's routine and composure, mind racing to keep up the facade. Across the plaza, 5 hanged corpses cast chilling contrast with cheerful couples and playing children. Overwhelmed by nausea, I kept Lucas's composure, forcing myself to sit beside Hoffman as memories returned. Hoffman pointed out a corpse, speaking casually about its supposed crime. Fighting disgust, I mirrored Lucas's arrogance and contempt, mimicking the performance of a ruthless true believer with every grimace. He leaned close, whispering grotesque details of why that man died. His blank stare made my blood run cold, forcing me to mimic horror and outrage, to play Lucas's expected role convincingly. Lunch held no appeal, but politeness demanded I share my last sandwich. Hoffman devoured it gratefully and asked about the upcoming play, a project I barely remembered in time to bluff through. Playing along, I showed bright confidence as Hoffman praised my effort for the district's propaganda play. Inwardly, anxious dread grew at the task dumped so easily onto Lucas's shoulders. Once alone again, dread of 7 remaining days pressed down harder. Lucas had volunteered eagerly for the new play, now just another legacy I was forced to carry forward by circumstance. Memories clicked into place. The practical work for the propaganda play was nearly complete. Only the casting for the lead roles remained, one final burden left unresolved by the old Lucas. Night fell as I dutifully left work on the dot. Boarding house's warm aroma comforted me, as Mrs. Schmidt welcomed me with gentle concern, her presence an anchor amid daily uncertainty. Alone upstairs, I unlocked Lucas's desk drawer and found a thick script and a battered, fingerprinted book, Revolution, Kruger's autobiography. This country's history still sends shivers down my spine. Leafing through pages, fragments of Lucas's passion bleed through. The script's dense corrections, messy but expressive handwriting, and unexpected emotional depth trapped amid relentless, loathsome dictator propaganda in every scene. This wasn't the same tired propaganda. Lucas's script explored Kruger's flawed youth, humanizing the monster in ways nobody dared try. Distaste and reluctant admiration warred as I read deeper. Coughing fits shattered any sympathy. Pulled back to harsh reality, I dropped the script, breath stilling as a gentle knock at my door quickly followed. No rest in this existence here. Tightness pressed deeper. Daniel Hartman was there, concern etched on his brow. My body ached with nicotine withdrawal, mind battered by coughs and stress. Lucas's vices haunted me. Small talk turns sharp. Daniel warns me to quit smoking, revealing a watchful side that's almost tender. Realizing my misery is withdrawal, I see that Lucas's shattered body. Sudden headache spikes. My hands trembled, craving a smoke. Dread and contempt at Lucas's addictive lifestyle mixed with aggravation at this world's relentless demands. When Daniel called me down, Mrs. Schmidt served dinner with her gentle presence. Familiar food and warmth tried to ground me, but the day's stress lingered beneath my skin. Old habits resurfaced. I mimicked Lucas's toxic bravado, grumbling about the executed man and praising the supreme leader, while Daniel nodded, his eyes lacking any true conviction. None can fool me. Daniel's empty smile made my skin crawl. Despite Lucas's trust, I quietly gauged his motives, feigning cheerful ignorance as we traded practiced, surface-level words. Some burdens persisted. Dinner ended, I escaped to my room, nerves raw. The first drag of a cigarette was almost painfully sweet, giving in to Lucas's vice just this once. Before sunrise, Mrs. Schmidt greeted me kindly. I excused myself, heading out in workout clothes, determined to fight addiction with fresh air, even if it meant just taking a walk. City's quiet air brought clarity. I made it a few steps jogging before hacking coughs knocked me breathless. Lucas's ruined body mocking my efforts and my pride with each wheezing gasp. Ghosts of military days haunted me. Lucas's physical condition was so abysmal, even the unfit would fare better. Resigned, I accepted that walking must suffice for now. Audition day arrived. Reviewing agency lists for the city, I called to arrange talent for lead roles. Smiling through nerves, I gave the requirements, knowing the theater work couldn't wait. Lunch with Hoffman loomed heavy. Gallows loomed outside. The heat forced a grim replacement of corpses, and even children played nearby. This city's cruelty stuck like grit in my throat. Hoffman praised my script and decided to join the audition as a judge. I mirrored his enthusiasm, masking dread at playing my role too convincingly under his watch. Once actors arrived, Hoffman and I oversaw the auditions. Hoffman's presence was decisive. My nerves settled, hiding relief that final responsibility was his, not mine. Male lead auditions exceeded all expectations. Competitors all fit the image of Supreme Leader Kruger with blue eyes and golden hair. The agency had sent only their very best candidates. Hoffman applauded one standout actor, quickly deciding on the lead. I followed suit without hesitation, quietly grateful responsibility was off my shoulders. For once, the choice felt easy. Hoffman focused on a young woman, Hannah Art, for the mother role. As she performed, her acting radiated authentic grace and emotional power, drawing stunned admiration from me alone. Unexpected tension thickened the air. Hoffman's gaze chilled as he revealed Hannah's hidden heritage. Elf mixed blood. I acted my shock, watching her shrink away, unable to meet any eyes. No warmth remained. Hoffman dismissed Hannah, who exited as whispers spread outside. I feigned outrage, all while Hannah's retreat etched regret into the moment's cold silence. Relief didn't come. Hoffman returned to cheer, explaining he'd chosen another actress, instructing me to act more cautiously in the future. Age weighed on me. Unease lingered. Guilt for Hannah clung to me. Rules here were iron. The future for people like her, bleak. I buried my sympathy, focusing on my fragile survival atop this world's dangerous thin ice. Days blurred in exhaustion. Every moment was spent running last rehearsals, checking set and music. My body failed me, but I forced myself onward through each suffocating hour. Evening found me collapsed in bed. I steeled myself for opening night as storm clouds gathered outside, hope drowned by exhaustion, every nerve frayed from this tense new existence. A pounding at the door yanked me from sleep. Mrs. Schmidt looked frantic. Then the chilling voice of Ossel called my full name, dread flooding me as I struggled to my feet. Thudding pain explodes suddenly. My dazed vision adjusts in agony. Body aches, harsh light stabbing my eyes, burlap sack ripped off, air thick with an unfamiliar metallic stench. Rough hands yank me upright. The shadows resolve into polished uniforms, perfect faces. Ossel, the so-called special police, symbols of dread in this world's regime. I'm forced to my knees. Fury, fear, and humiliation choke me. Ossel Major's predatory smile taunts me. Their beauty is a mask over cruelty, every eye watching for weakness. My stiff neck cracks, fingers yank my head back. Hoffman's chilling stare confronts me, his words colder than the room. Betrayal cuts deeper than the bruises, hurting everywhere. Tears feigned, I wail denials. Hoffman unsheathes a knife, bleeding for loyalty, his calm cruelty terrifying. Blood spatters my cheek. Ossel Major applauds approvingly, enjoying this spectacle. Voice strained, throat raw, I scream the regime's oath again and again. My hollow words echoing off the walls while Ossel Major's silhouette lingers in the haze of artificial light. By the 30th round, pain becomes numbness. Ossel Major nods, demanding another song, anthem so fervent it burns my soul. I throw myself into performance, desperate to survive humiliation. Water pours, cold and mocking, but hunger trumps pride. I crawl, face catching the stream, Ossel Major's boots mere inches away. Laughter ricochets, I drink anyway, masking humiliation. Crust of hard bread lands in my hand. I thank them, gnawing quietly despite pride. Ossel agents mock in low tones, entertained by my silent desperation as I chew the stale crust. A battered desk, a chair, and blank paper appear. Ossel Major lights a cigarette and orders me to write. Memories blur as I craft my life history into regime-flattering fiction. Hands numb in cold air I pen loyalty lies. Lucas's messy past crumbles under my desperate edits. Grief over real parents almost cracks my mask. But I press on, inventing devotion. Hours drag beneath cigarette haze. Ossel Major dissects every word, probing for cracks in my cover. Exhausted beyond fear I keep answering. Numbness is all that remains in my bones. Fingers cramp as I scratch out one last resignation letter, disguised as autobiography, professing fealty. Raw embarrassment burns. Ossel Major stubs his cigarette, giving only a cold half-smile. Body battered, mind battered, I cling to the smallest relief. When I am called from my hollow trance, hope flickers, I may make it out of this hell still alive. A harsh neigh, sudden crash, world spins as I'm dumped unceremoniously from carriage to damp dawn grass. Alone, bruised, my freedom returned only after near ruin at their hands. Anger surprises me, bitterness wells up sharp as pain in my fist. I scan the empty park, breath steaming, bruises blooming everywhere ached. Freedom's dawn feels colder than captivity. That dank labyrinth still burns in my mind, a maze of sterile corridors, right-angle turns, memorized for survival. If fate drags me here again, I'll need every map I remember. I'm starving, battered, yet my steps keep moving forward. Each motion hurts. Pulling up sleeves, I survey the blue-black bruises, silent reminders of what survival cost me in that cell. Thoughts of Mrs. Schmidt and Daniel bring a heavier ache. If my misery spilled over to them, I can't stay. Good conscience calls, even as exhaustion presses me toward collapse. I grit my teeth, whispering Hoffman's name. Resentment flares, but I force my thoughts elsewhere. Rest is all I crave. Recovery is the only rebellion left to me tonight. My goodness, Lucas. I stumble to the boarding house, ring the bell. Mrs. Schmidt catches me in a hug. Her worry radiates through the bruises, painful and warmly overwhelming together. Somehow I managed, barely braced by her arms, to enter the house. Mrs. Schmidt's exhausted eyes show she hasn't slept, and that fierce love nearly undoes the last of my defenses. Daniel comes crashing down the stairs, demanding answers. His concern so abrupt I can't help but give a wry smile, even as I pretend everything's fine and spread my battered arms wide. Spreading my arms wider, I joke it was nothing, hiding fatigue behind bravado, but Daniel's gaze narrows with suspicion, and I can't let myself spill any secrets about Ossel's visit. I force a smile and ask for food instead, hunger gnawing deeper than pride. Mrs. Schmidt hustles off, and when I finally taste broth and bread, warmth seeps stubbornly back into me. Finally alone, I collapse onto my unmade bed and spiral instantly into sleep, the world dropping away. Hunger, anger, and ache fade, replaced by blank, silent, dreamless, dark rest. Early as sunlight gone, I wake to a gentle voice calling from behind the door. Groggy and heavy-limbed, I drag myself upright. Mrs. Schmidt's smile scattered my fog as I open up. Dressing quickly, I thank Mrs. Schmidt for waking me, She gently reminds me of the play I'd long promised. My chest tightens with memory of my noisy invitations and needling pride. With terse goodbyes, I pack my script and head out, a pall of nervous anticipation hovering as the theater's facade rises ahead, neither shabby nor grand, holding tonight's uncertain fate. Empty seats stretch out as I enter the auditorium. On stage, crew toil with set, lights, and costumes, but I feel like a ghost. I scan for purpose, unsure how things carried on without me. Spotting Emil Hoffman's ample frame, I brace myself as he offers a bright smile and slaps my shoulder. Chilled by his touch, I fake thanks, masking suspicion and unease beneath my calm. He presses a suspicious lunchbox into my hands, chattering as if nothing happened, as if he hadn't sent me into hell. I smile, thank him, then watch his retreating back deeply unsettled. Feeling the box's weight, I dump its untasted contents into the trash, my appetite replaced by resolve. I stride toward the lead actor's dressing room, a new and sharper plan forming in mind. Strong business smile ready, I march into the lead actor. He's Kruger tonight. I deliver news of a final script tweak, apologizing, hiding my true intent, while his face darkens in protest. I quietly explain the one-word revision, playing the part of remorseful assistant, while in truth, it's the camouflaged point on which my calculated sabotage will hinge. His eyes widen, reluctant. Come see an interesting play. A plucky ticket boy takes to the streets at sunset, hawking tickets for the supreme leader. His optimism masks hunger and chill, signs hanging crookedly front and back. Sunset deepens as a stern uniformed colonel and his adjutant approach the ticket boy. The air chills. At the sight of the red-striped shoulder boards, ticket boy stiffens, his confidence leaching away. Colonel's tone is mild but menacing. Ticket boy's answer nervous. His trembling hands clutch the tickets. Colonel Ossel and adjutant share a glance, then relieve the boy of his tickets, leaving him pale. Inside the theater, my cynicism flashes. The scale is ludicrous, real uniforms and a live band. Reviewing old ledgers, I see Lucas spent every pelt he had. Tonight, every risk will end. Rehearsal surges on, but I watch only Hoffman, who sits in the audience as if nothing could touch him. My mind's already on the cultural committee. Now, I'll weaponize their rigid values. Just before sunset, Colonel checks his pocket watch. Perfect timing. The Sunday crowd files in. In a shadowed row at the rear, Colonel and adjutant sit, poised for their critical inspection. Stage lights flare, the play begins. An angelic child actor, as young Kruger, stands center spotlight, loneliness and hope casting shadows over his small frame, setting the show's melancholic pace. Kruger grows. Battles are dramatized with grand music, then anguished by injustice, the suffering of people, the refugees, the elven swindlers, the nobles clinging to power. The weight falls on his sword. Kruger's mother's spirit returns, singing softly as he returns to his childhood self, fear giving way to fragile hope. From darkness, he readies for the revolution's bloody renewal, sword in hand. Colonel, hands clasped, smiles in rare satisfaction as the supreme leader's suffering childhood plays out. He imagines the leader watching, art and loyalty entwined on this remarkable stage. Kruger makes his final speech, hands trembling on the podium. Under the stage lights, he repeats the words, "Judge yourself, stand proudly before God's judgment," and looks toward the silent crowd. We are in crisis. That damning phrase echoed in my memory as the colonel's expression flickered, his mind journeying 18 years back, flooded by euphoria and devotion. Thunderous cheers swirl around as Kruger on stage spreads his arms wide. I watch, breathless, as the whole audience seems to tremble under the weight of a hopeful, impossible promise. After the music falls silent, Kruger descends from the podium and shouts those final words. My heart pounds as everyone holds their breath. Will the whole world change now? Curtains fall and actors reappear beaming as the orchestra's cheerful tune fills the air. I sense the crowd's adoration. Yet in the last row, the colonel's presence smolders unreadably. Just as applause crescendos, the colonel shudders with pent-up rage. He suddenly lashes out, shattering a chair. His anger explodes, shocking everyone in the theater into complete silence. Unable to look away, I peer down from the catwalk as the colonel's furious glare seizes the room. The lighting crew's spotlight isolates him in a menacing display for all to see. Startled by his display, the audience rigidly salute. Some mutter slogans, but the colonel storms forward, face burning, his hands shaking as he pulls a pistol and waves it in growing fury. Everything slows as the colonel, breath ragged, demands the playwright's name. Hearing it, Hoffman lurches up to salute, his trembling body unable to disguise its fear before power. With the colonel's pistol shaking, rage peaking, he confronts Hoffman, accusing, roaring, barely coherent as he denounces the script's heresy. Only I grasp the real danger behind this chaos. I linger unseen in the shadows, watching chaos erupt, the lines I'd crafted now a weapon. I realize my gamble may destroy Hoffman, yet my secret stays safe behind his name. The colonel roars for everyone to be arrested, all involved doomed now. My twisted satisfaction simmers as the trap clamps around Hoffman. I know I might also be dragged away, or worse. Dragged from the theater, I am thrown into a stark room by Usul Major. His cold smile flickers as he dons white gloves, preparing punishment. The smell of water and fear fills the air. Pain explodes across my jaw as Usul's gloved hand cracks hard against my cheek. His violence stings but lacks deep malice. I cling to feigned contrition, begging as the interrogation escalates. I spit blood and desperately explain, blaming Hoffman for ordering the script change. Inside, I plan every word, downplaying my guilt while keeping the interrogation's game tightly in hand. Pretending terror, I attribute everything to Hoffman, even the controversial line. Usul seems pleased, asking about the half-elf actress, but my answers only deepen the intrigue swirling in the cell. Usul's thin lips twist with sadistic amusement. His blows keep coming, yet the touch feels more clinical than cruel. My only relief is in endurance, clinging to dignity in humiliation. After a savage interval, Usul's violence pauses. He offers a twisted apology, his interest shifting as the anguish of another victim, Hoffman, echoes from behind the locked doors nearby. Hoffman screams just beyond, the horror in his cries sharp. Usul Major stops me, inviting me to deliver final words. I sense his hunger for psychological games and resist being drawn in. Face to face, I find Hoffman battered and desperate, forced to beg for truth to save his own life. His wounds are gruesome, but I feel only cold amusement at his naked pleas for mercy. Hoffman begs insistently, voice hoarse with fear and pain. If I just confess, maybe we both survive. He threatens revenge from beyond the grave, but sympathy has vanished from my heart. A smirk tugs my lips as I quietly taunt him. Wasn't he always ready to die for the supreme leader? Yet when death appears, devotion pales and terror blooms. The hypocrisy is nearly funny. Clear afternoon sky brings a bitter taste. The hot stew stings my battered mouth as if reminding me I survived by endurance alone, never by winning, only by not losing. Unlike yesterday's agony, oddly numb cheeks make me wonder if this is genuine mercy or just another layer in Usul's clinical interrogation game, masking cruelty with procedure. 50 meters ahead, 5 hanged bodies dangle limply from the gallows, Emil Hoffman's bloated corpse in the center. Proof mercy buys only a few hours reprieve in this crazy world. Newspaper headline glares. Play disparaging the great supreme leader performed. I fold the sheet, disgusted at how quickly a person can vanish, truth itself becoming nothing but rumor. All I can do is bitterly laugh. Cruelty rules in a land where one breath is earned at another's expense. Survival means nothing if it leaves a taste of shocked disgust behind. Street noise fills the square. Vendors crying out for customers, children's laughter, flower girls singing, but nothing touches the silent agony inside me as my coughs break through calm. Why does this country's air taste of loneliness and rage? Each day a new corpse swings and everyone else carries on, while I suffer the weight of what I'm forced to become. Confidence protects my body, but sanity feels fragile, shaken by the horror, fear, and need to trample others for my own survival. Sometimes I'm unsure who I am within this spiral. Chilling breeze greets me at the gallows as I pause in silent mourning. A small boy arrives, fighting tears as he clings desperately to Hoffman's shattered feet. Loss unspoken, pain shared. A pale woman, jaw trembling, hurries to collect the boy. Her voice tries for sternness but cracks with loss. I step away, haunted by the revelation that Hoffman's family looked painfully ordinary. Forcing myself to leave, bitter unfairness erupts in my chest as I escape the square just as the bell rings. In this world, normality and monstrosity walk side by side without warning. Lucas was liked by everyone for shallow connections, yet now isolation surrounds me, ostracized, resented for having survived what others fear could happen to them at any moment. I perform apologetic routines but colleagues avoid my eyes. Contempt flickers under polite distance, cold and sharp like the memory of Usul's blows. Expectation of exclusion numbs any disappointment. Actual disappointment eludes me. Genuine cheer is performance. All my smiles mere echoes of Lucas. My role now is the unjustly accused young man, depressed and barely keeping afloat. Ruminating in silence, 10 days after landing in this nightmare, I replay every dirty act. Surviving these purges means compromising myself in ways I'd never imagined as a salesman in Korea. Self-berating waves crash over me. Once I killed by proxy, my return to that quiet, regular life I lived back home is forever out of reach. All I can do now is adapt. Slowly, I begin to accept my reality. Whatever my name, it's Lucas Reedon this world sees now. My only choice: adapt, accept, and carry forward with resolve stronger than dread. After work, alone at Lucas's regular tavern, I consider my survival gamble. In a world eager for scapegoats, the civil service is especially merciless. Nobody is safe from suspicion forever. Lucas's memories replay warnings. Office director picks favorites to shame others. Nowhere is truly safe and purges are routine. If I stay, suspicion and danger won't ever end. Even genuine apologies meet wary contempt. Close relationships here mean nothing when suspicion rules. Only one escape matters now, and it isn't friendship or trust, it's money. Just money. My face flushes as the beer's sweetness bites into wounded lips. A wobble in my steps reminds me that Lucas can't handle alcohol, even as this body longs for fleeting release. Urgent arrival breaks tavern calm. Daniel Hartman enters, jaw set, hand hovering near his coat's hidden pistol. His sharp gaze sweeps the room before softening at a familiar drunken sight. Daniel supports my drunken body as we stagger outside into darkened streets. For a moment, even the suspicious shadows and gallows seem distant as he cracks a gentle joke at my expense. Half dragged home, my head heavy with beer and guilt, Daniel scans the empty streets anxiously, haunted by lingering paranoia. A world like this makes even friendship feel suspicious and brittle. Daniel's voice is gentle as he asks why I drank myself sick. My answer hollow and evasive. Silly banter covers the ache left by suspicion and the gallows looming beyond the square. Under Daniel's steady hands, faint doubts flicker. Why is Lucas so obedient, so changed? As I drift, he begins to question my story, memory flashing to the day of the execution. Paranoia creeps in. Daniel searches for confirmation, rummaging through drawers, bookshelves, his face a mask of guilt and concern, until a sudden, strong grip on his wrist halts everything cold. My former sales career feels impossibly distant as Daniel yanks me upright, assuming drunkenness. Hiding my awareness, I watch his darting eyes and subtle wariness closely. Foolish drunken act always worked before. Tonight is no different, as Daniel guides my staggering body home, his tense smile belying nerves. He checks every shadow we pass. Rare comfort on these streets. Daniel's grip is steady as we arrive. My fake stupor dissolves as I watch him rummage. My suspicion grows with every careful little noise. Snapping awake, every muscle tense, I grip Daniel's wrist mid-search. His mask falters before reassembling with a reassuring lie. Hangover medicine, he claims, with a winning grin. Even the label taunts me. Daniel cheerfully hands over the gaudy bottle, then vanishes with a good night. Alone, doubts linger as I down the bitter drink in silence. Routine begins. Bright morning with Mrs. Schmidt serving breakfast and Daniel beside me, both acting as if nothing happened. She raises rent delicately. Today's payday after all. Calendar glance anchors me. It's August 4th payday. Mrs. Schmidt's kindness shows as she insists I skip paying rent after so much hardship, but pride makes me refuse. Chivalry takes the stage. My dramatic refusal earns Mrs. Schmidt's blush and Daniel's sarcastic jab. I act the part, but beneath it, Daniel's suspicions never quite recede. Resolving with bravado, I proclaim my renewal, playing to the audience. Daniel laughs easily, arms slung over my shoulder, but his sharp eyes never really let go. Buying this act doesn't come easy. Daniel even now studies me, every word weighed. I try to act like Lucas, but suspicions always hover. His personality must have changed recently. Complacency fading, I resolve to suck out every bit of knowledge from this job. My confidence sours as I pass colleagues in the hall, feeling like a plague to be avoided. Office work begins in earnest. I take refuge in my archive room, sifting through weighty files on railways, taxes, subversive lists. Each new report offers hints of future escape routes. Routine turns to comfort. I grab a sandwich and light a cigarette by the open window, struggling to reduce my old addiction despite Lucas's weak lungs and constant wheezing. Strange whimpering stirs me. Looking down from the window, I spot a shaggy black puppy limping by, bright eyes peeking from fur. I toss my leftovers, he devours them instantly. After lunch, regret lingers as the puppy curls up, disappointed by the meager meal. Duty calls as the work bell rings. Closing the window, I force myself back to paperwork. When quitting time comes, I discover a salary envelope left like charity. I accept it with aged dignity, calling out sarcasm to a receding shadow as if unfazed. Counting my miserable savings, I visit the marble bank. Even its gold-plated facade and vigilant guards feel imposing. Inside, the teller's voice confirms just how little I've got. Saving means nothing in a place like this. The teller confirms the pitiful balance. I withdraw everything, eyeing the grand bank doors as if they lead straight to hell. Purse heavier, but prospects bleak, I leave the bank determined to save every coin. Yet even so, it'll take a decade to escape this civil servant's rut with such meager funds. Insistent little paws follow me. A faint panting makes me turn to see the same black puppy from lunch now at my heels, eyes upturned with wounded hope and loyalty. Crossing the bustling avenue, my complaints to the puppy stop short. Across the street, I spot Daniel, expression oddly blank as he checks his pocket watch and surveys the area. Laughing softly, I crouch to ruffle the black puppy's fur, pondering its curious talent for tailing people. Behind us, city life whirls on, but I linger in this moment's odd comfort. Daniel started walking away, purposefully weaving through the city. Curious, I found myself tailing him, even as the loyal black puppy kept sticking close at my heels. Twisting alleys and a growing crowd make trailing Daniel a nerve-wracking affair. I keep the puppy at my side, eyes darting between shops and day-drunk locals yammering in the dusk. All at once my head throbs. Lucas's memories of these red light district alleys return, overwhelming me with colors, perfume, and a distant haze of old, half-forgotten mistakes. After my dizzy spell, I realize Daniel's vanished, swallowed by loud crowds and seductive lights. The black puppy tugs my sleeve, urging me to follow toward a polished bar entrance. Hesitation vanishes as I pat the puppy and push open the bar's heavy door. My heart hammers from Lucas's memories of old vices and passionate, half-embarrassing escapades within. Old ghosts flare up. Amelie storms out from behind the bar, slapping me hard before I can speak. My cheeks sting, but I summon what dignity I have left to look her straight in the eyes. My body stings, but pride keeps me upright. Amelie trembles, torn by rage and old memories. I brace for more blows, but she finally relents, her scowl fading with each measured breath. She demands to know why I'm here, gaze leveled like a challenge. The old tension stings, but her fire reminds me why my old self clung to her for so long, even when I didn't deserve her. I ask Amelie if Daniel stopped by. With reluctance, she shares what little she knows. He left through the rear, more interested in my life than in any drink. His motive's a mystery. During Amelie's wary answers, I pass her the last of my withdrawn money. She counts it quickly, then hands it back, hard enough to refuse a beggar, not cruel enough to exploit her ex. We speak about Daniel. Amelie calls him awkward, not an docile spy. She questions if I've truly changed. I answer lightly, though inside I want to tell her just how strange my fate has become. Amelie almost voices something. Then a fresh customer enters and she turns away. I slip out the bar's back door, old neighborhood muscle memory guiding my feet through dusk-lit alleys. I search gloomy alleys nearby, looking for Daniel. He's long gone. Energy fading, suspicion gnaws at me. I head back toward noisy main streets, the black dog now faithfully at my side. To my surprise, the dog has waited loyally outside the bar. He trots after me, tail wagging, eyes full of hope. I ask if he really wants to live with someone as unreliable as me. I explain that I rent a boarding house, not my own home, but the dog seems unfazed. He just wags his tail, eager to follow wherever I go. His loyalty is both touching and unexpected. I return home and am greeted by Daniel's cheery wave and Mrs. Schmidt's gasp about the new dog. They dote on the pup, fussing over his fur and offering scraps. He soaks up every bit of kindness. Mrs. Schmidt fusses over the matted puppy with kitchen scissors and soap. The rough bath reveals a striking dog beneath the dirt, proud as an aristocrat, even as Daniel teases its new name. Name suggestions are tossed around, and I decide on Colin for the loyal black dog. Daniel snickers at my old-fashioned pick, but the dog seems to beam at the sound of his new name. As Colin wags his tail, Daniel continues bantering, and I conceal my suspicions under a smile, my mind already working out how to shadow him again and unravel his true agenda. Blazing sunlight pressed hard today, reminding me that Lucas was cursed with frail skin and heat sensitivity, while the energetic Colin never seemed bothered by summer at all. Heat aside, I couldn't help but marvel at how Colin had blossomed, his clever gaze and well-groomed coat almost brimming with confidence, earning the household's unconditional affection. Not only was Colin absurdly smart, fetching milk and papers for Mrs. Schmidt without even being taught, but he quickly earned a special spot in every boarder's heart. Commands spoken by me were always followed instantly, whether it was routine tricks or odd jobs. Colin moved with uncanny intelligence, far beyond any ordinary pet I'd ever seen. There were moments I'd swear Colin could understand nearly everything I said. His alert gaze sometimes made me wonder if a person wasn't lurking behind those expressive animal eyes. Aloud, I joked about the ball representing Daniel. Colin seemed to enjoy the game, darting through sun-flecked grass with determined focus, weaving as if hiding from an imaginary pursuer. Clatter of beer mugs signaled another clandestine meeting. Daniel and 4 comrades exchanged coded reports in a shabby tavern corner, their laughter masking the paranoia at play. Beneath coded banter, Erica detailed her flyer distributing routes and exhaustion, while Richard recounted another failed confession, their work cloaked in code, peril clouding every word. As they laughed and swapped coded heartbreaks, the reality that discovery would mean death pressed invisibly on them. Erica's trust in Daniel wavered, but his authority kept doubts at bay. When Oscar slyly mouthed Emil Hoffman and Erica relented, I realized their leader status was subtle but powerful. Daniel deflected, claiming he'd simply probe deeper into his suspicions soon. Unease settled briefly as Daniel mentioned a deeper conversation, understood by all as code for serious investigation. And yet, everyone silently accepted it as the group's necessary price. Sudden chaos. Jorg burst in wide-eyed warning of a rat. Every muscle in Daniel's body stiffened as the group's code for a spy set panic racing through the cramped tavern. Panic threatened to swallow us as Daniel tried to steady everyone. In less than a minute, we abandoned the tavern, leaving behind a shaken owner and the echo of our hasty footsteps. After the panic, Daniel stewed in regret and frustration, hiding in a narrow alley, hoping to outwit suspicion, worried gnawing that Ossel might be closing in on all of them by dawn. A brief flicker. Daniel caught sight of a shadow slipping past the alley's edge, dread mounting as the possibility of betrayal forced him into a sprint toward the shape he hoped to unmask. I ran as hard as my weakened body allowed, lungs burning. Daniel's footsteps thundered after me, until at last I was cornered by the sharp glint of metal pressed shakingly to my forehead. Breath ragged, vision swimming with heat and fear, I managed a bloody smile as Daniel demanded answers. How long had I been tailing them? I simply replied, of course, owning up to everything. Panic faded, replaced by exhaustion. I hung limp in the chair, sticky blood on my lips. Major Johann Werner's gaze bored into me, indifferent, as he lit a slow-burning cigarette. Numb pain lingered while Johann lazily pored over papers, the genealogy linking Redan to royalty, his adjutant nervously reciting headquarters results, sweat trickling down from the stifling heat. Every secret and opportunity mattered. Johann traced the royal Redan line, already calculating how to use the last heir's ancient blood as insurance if Kruger's regime collapsed. Colonel's temper thundered. He thrashed Hoffman's limp form, rage boiling over after Johann's methodical report. Blood spattered the floor as water splashed, cruelty performed by tired hands. Colonel Ossel's fury echoed off stone walls. After venting, he ordered the others freed, except Hoffman, whose torture was just beginning. Johann received his instructions without flinching. Dizzy, I was cut loose after a full day in chains. The colonel wanted the confession crack open between me and Hoffman, eyes blindfolded as they packed me off with the other suspects. Restless, the adjutant worried aloud about releasing Lucas Redan. Johann, bored by such chatter, watched the carriage vanish through barred windows and muttered that only fools failed to look ahead. Late August heat pressed down. I watched Johann adjust collar beneath an office fan, his adjutant blotting sweat, both uniforms suffocating amid Ludelheim's relentless summer. Surprisingly, Johann sent his adjutant to Heidel to check family records. Returning, the adjutant confirmed Lucas's identity. Royal blood, fallen to obscurity, traced on official documents. Every admission felt honest. Johann tapped at Ridden's confession, lost in quiet speculation about the value of such genuine obedience, useless perhaps, yet never a card to waste. Always weighing risks, I watched Johann ponder Kruger's future. If the supreme leader faltered, perhaps the Ridden bloodline would become the ace in his sleeve, loyalty and ambition entwined. Neither love nor hate guided him. I sensed Johann's careerism ran all cold calculus, loyalty a facade, Ossel's fate merely a matter of survival in his bright glacial eyes. Having my life monitored as a special surveillance target was unsettling. Johann, always a step behind, occasionally shadowed me from rooftops on his days off, curiosity as dangerous as knives. Rain smell rising, we faced each other down tight alleys. Daniel drew a small pistol, my heart lurching as the barrel aimed straight at my forehead, silence sharper than any threat. Mind racing as Daniel accused me, I stepped forward and pressed my forehead to the barrel, daring him to question my motives, feeling pain but refusing to flinch away from his gaze. The pressure eased, Daniel's hand dropped, shoulders shaking. I almost buckled as relief hit, but steadied myself and listened to his meandering accusations, wondering if the truth would spill out. Accusations and confessions twisted between us. Daniel's suspicion flared again, then crumbled. He challenged my motives, dredging up rumors, my silence inviting him to cross that last thin line. Rain's cool breath washed the street as I gambled everything, naming his secret hatred for Kruger, watching as Daniel's careful defenses broke and he was forced to drop his mask at last. A quiet sigh escaped Daniel as he revealed the truth. He gripped my shoulder and welcomed me to the White Raven Order, not as an invite, but as the final proof of shared rebellion. Relief and raw laughter broke through my fear as Daniel's pistol fell away. Joining hands, I found strange joy in the rain, hope flickering bright between danger and the weight of betrayal. Dead of night finds Daniel deep in talk, revealing his secret, the White Raven Order. My room feels smaller as I realize how much he's risked to forge comrades in this battle. Daniel insists the White Raven Order name comes from hope, not faith. He waves off scriptures, but a weight in his voice betrays quiet longing for symbols stronger than secret pamphlets. Flyers, lists, Daniel details their activities and my hopes crash into reality. 5 members, minor acts risking execution, his tone proud yet my mind turning over the weight of such futility. All too small. My mind reels hearing just 5 members, caught between Daniel's need and my own terror. I can't even back out, not without becoming a traitor or risking my life again. With resignation turning to a shaky grin, I claim my place. Daniel laughs, unsure whether to believe my bravado or not, but accepts my handshake. I'm now a White Raven comrade, for better or worse. Resignation must give way to survival instinct. I have little faith in their methods, but admit, for now, this is the only path left. Shaking hands, I vow to guide them as best as I can. Days blur together before Daniel comes late at night, shoves a blindfold into my hands. My heart thunders as I realize ritual secrecy means hiding even from me, just like those Ossel brutes would. Blindfold tight, I stumble through damp alleys as Daniel shepherds me. Each sound stings with dread. I must trust he's not leading me to Ossel's den, though it sure feels like my own execution. Weeds crunch and musty rot seeps in as Daniel leads me up creaking steps. My senses build the scene: fallen rafters, boarded windows, the chill of rumor-heavy air thick with old ghost stories. Boards scrape underfoot as I kneel, blindfold slipping. Dim candlelight soaks the boarded-up room. Faces emerge, unfamiliar and intent, united by wary hope and the promise of a secret bond. Daniel introduces the others: Erica cold and sharp, Richard gentle and calm, Georg slyly intelligent, Oscar radiating arrogance. I summon a diplomatic smile, masking my unease among these rebels. Oscar's gaze needles me, smug and sharp. I volley smugness right back, banter thinly veiling our rivalry. Neither agrees to blink, both grinning in defiance as Daniel watches, quietly exasperated. Oscar boasts of airships. Daniel interrupts with dry facts. I ask the others' jobs, teasing Erica, who bristles, then praise her rebellious spirit, shifting surprise and just a touch of warmth her way. Bonding seems impossible. The members skeptical, Erica's doubt plain. Yet awkward laughter and mutual confessions soften the air, threads of trust forming beneath their wary, difficult independence. Suspicion never leaves the room. Questions for Lucas hover unsaid as creaks freeze us. My every nerve wires for danger, and a building sense of dread presses on the backs of each member's neck. First creak, then another. My suspicion boils into fear. Someone is at the door, moving to force their way inside. There's nowhere to hide, only adrenaline and the cold certainty of disaster. Bang, door handle struck, cries for silence. In utter darkness, I lunge for Daniel's pistol. As chaos explodes, my hand trembles but my voice cuts through. Get down now, we're about to be raided. Seconds feel endless, door flies open under police force. Magic lamp glare, shouts of special police. My finger squeezes the pistol's trigger, not knowing if I'll live or die in this shadow battle. Chaos swells. Daniel tackles the attacker. I seize fallen gun, standing over the downed enemy. In seconds, my question splits the silence. Has anyone here ever killed another person before? Cold blue flash. My hands ache, pistol barrel shakes. I see blood pour freely from the Ossel's gaping wound, and realize this is the first human being I've ever shot in my life. Moment frozen silent. My mind reels as Daniel's confused stare steadies me. My cracked voice admits I have never killed before, though I doubt that will stay true for much longer. Shakili, I reload, letting the click echo as warning while I announce my plan. Extract all he knows, or kill him to keep the others safe. The group's silence is tense and unyielding. Calling out to the group, Richard volunteers to treat Ossel's wound, already pulling out his medical bag. Tension lifts slightly as everyone rushes to uncertain tasks. Relief is temporary. Static in the air, Richard gives Ossel anesthesia for the bullet extraction. Erica assists, Georg binds Ossel's wrists, and Oscar rifles his pockets. I slump in a chair, sweat tracing down. Worn questions return. Daniel draws close, demanding what my plan for this chaos is. Voice low, I tell him it hinges on what Ossel reveals during interrogation, and wait for his reaction. Revealing the truth, my voice trembles as I admit I too lacked the will to kill when I first spied on them. We share the raw fear of survival. Running or betraying was always easier than this. Daniel meets my eyes, resignation written in his tense jaw. He agrees to trust me, even if it's the only choice he has left. I promise to do better, asking him for help this time. Soon, Richard lifts out the deformed bullet, examining it before preparing to suture. Oscar jokes about the cheap firearm, Georg keeps vigilant, and Erica swaps instruments, working fast. Richard wipes away all traces of blood, expertly sewing the Ossel's wound shut in poor light. I marvel at his skill while anxiety itches at my skin. Every minute feels stolen from disaster. He is left unconscious from anesthesia. As minutes pass, my nerves ratchet tighter, the silence threatening to shatter. I spin the unfamiliar pistol, plotting how to use this sliver of time given. Fidgeting with cold metal, my patience snaps when Ossel wakes, tense and confused. He tries to reach for his weapon, but I sneer, warning the gun is in my hands and he is powerless now. Masking my fear, I needle Ossel for his name and rank, threatening the wound. His pride ignites, Richard intervenes protectively, and I crouch to begin real interrogation face to face. Sharp dawn arrives. Major Johann Werner jolts awake as his aide Philip Decker appears, limping, one leg bandaged, and a gun to his head. Lucas is behind, pistol leveled, demanding entry. Inside Johann's ornate home, he coldly prods Philip inside, swiftly sweeping his legs so he collapses. I press at Johann's back with the barrel, tension, as we enter the living room together. Conversation loaded, gun pressed to his head as Johann sits across from me on the ornate sofa. I spill out my question. Why was I surveilled and released after the interrogation incident? Johann takes a drag and launches his lighter at my face. Reflexes take over. I dodge, startled, just as he lunges. Our bodies crash, gunshots sounding as the sofa tumbles under the chaos. Pinning me to the ground, Johann wrenches the pistol from my grip as I scream in pain. He barks for Philip to tie me up. My head spins as I'm swiftly bound, my fate uncertain yet. Johann burns my forearm with his cigarette, declaring my bloodline's only value is for leverage. Gasping in agony, I learn I'm of royal descent, a fact that means almost nothing now. Laugh erupts raw. Through pain I retort, a month's performance quota is small reward. Johann looks curious, halting Philip's protest as I promise a trap that will fatten the secret society. Johann's interest aroused, he silences Philip and bids me speak, cold gaze hiding calculation. Through coughing and derision I lay out my bold plan, to make the Order's destruction a feast. After Lucas vanished fast, Johann's command to keep secrecy was as harsh as his boot on Decker's leg. I felt tension coil, knowing this secret could cost more than loyalty. My mind is storming, hands trembling that nearly cost me my life. Alone I curse myself in this world, unsure if risking everything just bought survival, or deeper trouble. Trust and tricks seems fleeting. The stinging words about royal blood swirl in my mind. I can't shake the worry of hidden motives and what Johann's real intent may actually be. Building up power for survival was never self-rationalization. I stare at my worn face, starkly honest about what must be done. Cold, ruthless plans, prioritizing life over sentiment now. Sitting at the outdoor cafe, Erica confronts me with sharp words. I steal comfort from sweet, creamy coffee as nerves and guilt tighten. Our faction is anything but united right now. Cream-laden coffee disappears fast as Erica's anger sharpens across the table. Sun-soaked street life and hidden tension mingle as I scramble to answer questions I barely heard. Seconds slip away as Daniel steps in with calming words, while the little pup Colin sits attentive on my lap. Erica's rigid anger radiates as if splitting the White Raven Order. Unanimous rules slip away as we argue. Erica's disbelief at Daniel and my alliance shakes the group. While I avoid direct conflict, their anger burns fiercer with every tense glance. Daniel's voice rings with faith, his trust in me pushes through Erica's doubts. The words impact deeper than expected, setting my chest heavy with guilt and something almost like gratitude. Only been days here and the Order shakes. Erica's gaze is raw with pain. She calls me an outsider, says I never took them seriously. The group I needed now splits because of me. She quits on the spot before everyone, the sound of a trumpet hiding her last words. Yet I know she said it. I reach out, swearing I'll forge us into something that can fight Kruger. Barely have Erica's footsteps faded when Richard, calm as ever, stands to say he's leaving too. He isn't angry, just sure I'm unstable, a risk they can't accept anymore in their midst. It is over before I can react. Richard shakes my hand, then George's, Oscar's, Daniel's. There's a quiet strength behind his calm words. I realize what a true farewell looks like now. Days blur as summer wanes, only silence remains in the cafe's wake. I'm left with a vanished Order and a heavier burden. My choices spiral, their consequences growing harder to escape. Chilling sounds rouse me late at night. Careful footsteps take me to Daniel weeping drunkenly at the kitchen table. He mourns lost friends, grief spilling along with beer and tears. Daniel's honesty flows with tears and beer. He can't forgive what's happened, but won't abandon me either. Exhaustion and an unlikely warmth settle between my apologies in the dim kitchen. Swollen-eyed but sincere, Daniel makes me promise to win Erica and Richard back. I half joke, but his hopeful stubbornness makes me wish for a moment that such unity still feels possible here. Is Daniel's trust naivete or something more? Alone in that kitchen, I question motives, his, mine, as I clutch a pen and let plans sprawl into a battered notebook under bland, pale light. Morning air offers no clarity, but ritual helps. Colin's leash in hand, I step out to walk, part because I need to think, part because I need steady routines so my body doesn't fail me. Walk barely started, Oscar leans against our wall, unruly hair and wry grin. Says he's here to monitor me. Oscar's faith is fractured, wary as ever, but his honesty feels oddly grounding. 26 years. Back then, I clung to my senior's guidance, fumbling through life as the newest hire. He was clumsy, stubborn, fiercely kind, the best example of goodness I'd ever known. Bright footsteps echo awkward praise. My senior once taught with clumsy hands, smiling despite his errors. He stood firm, fighting injustice when our colleague died, until he was fired. Desperate apologies fall from my lips at his farewell party. My memory blurs why I was so sorry, only that he smiled softly, patted my back, and told me to reach out if I ever needed him. We lingered for drinks or quiet meals, yet each time I grew more distant. Guilt slowly made his tired smile harder to face, a cowardice I justified until I vanished from his world entirely. Promotion, success, and then silence. Months later, only a cold rumor told me of his fatal accident. I roamed the city in a fog, returning to the restaurant where we'd shared our last meal. Steam and bitter broth scald my mouth as I swallow the feeling, alone in a booth where his laughter once filled the air. The world stays dry-eyed for him, and so do I. Ashamed and hollow. Oscar Fisher's eyes, they glint with that familiar light, fiery good-heartedness doomed to burn bright but briefly in cruel places. I recognize it, and mutter the truth into the morning air. Unsuspicious silence quickly ends when Oscar chirps his question, tailing me as I walk Colin. I keep my guard up with clipped replies until his relentless sincerity draws something out. His naive questioning never ends, and for some reason, I answer him. When he guesses wrong about Amelie, I see how much order gossip he's absorbed. No privacy, even here. I sigh, amused. My words about expulsion confuse him, his candid face bright as he guesses my meaning. His innocence is almost too much. I'm left wordless, both exasperated and oddly comforted by it. He shadows me home, then disarms Mrs. Schmidt with ridiculous charm, earning breakfast for his trouble. I eat, amused by his nerve, but he's dead set on surveilling me the whole day through. Oscar tags along all the way to the office, running commentary never flagging. He claims Daniel and Gorge trust me, insisting his suspicion is personal. I roll my eyes, half admiring him. I come to a stop outside the office, side-eyeing Oscar. He realizes too late that he's ditched his own job to tail me. I rebuke him coldly, half trying not to laugh at his stunned face. Archive room haze, dust motes dance as I pore over my tiny foreign script notebook. Here, personal details and residency lists are weapons. I hide my notes in code, paranoia thrumming in me. I discover only Daniel and Oscar in all of District 13's files, missing Erica and Richard's addresses, Gorge just a shadow without a surname. Even Lucas's dossier is uncomfortably thorough. Family records, military history, even royal blood. Every secret already catalogued here. I weigh possibilities. Could status be an asset or just more danger? I scribble and dismiss the idea. A single scribble, Oscar Fisher, July 5, 1875, Airship Factory, flashes before me. I circle airship furiously, jotting endless questions in 3 languages only I can read. The absurdity hits. Oscar's workplace, the crowded airship factory, yawns wide beneath dragon-shadowed skies. He watches, nervous as glittering dragons approach, leaden wings beating thunder over anxious workers. Tiny specks become dragons. Red, blue, gold, white, wings shining in jagged formation, casting vast shadows as they descend. Pilots with regal bearing ready for landing, workers shield aching ears. The manager oozes flattery, greeting high-ranking pilots in uniform. Conversations swirl, pilots noble and proud, manager ingratiating. Employees bow, then file back to drab work duty, applause stinging. Supervisor barked orders, herding us back inside. Oscar's palms smart from applause, but his eyes dart back to the sky, hoping, sighing, missing Sonia. Rumors are all he has left of her. Dragons wrangled, research staff brace for trouble, steel cages hoisted, magic fabric billows, soon a monstrous airship swells, gleaming against a cobalt sky, ready to lift dragons and dreams. Past explosions haunt the team, first flight burst, second one crashed. Today, thanks to luck or skill, the behemoth floats. Oscar barely breathes as cages and dragons are sealed aboard. Name snaps Oscar from daydream, he's still assembling parts, hands moving by rote after years of factory grind. His thoughts circle Sonia, the ache of absence too familiar to set aside. Noisy bell echoes, hands freeze instinctively. A line of workers unfurls across the floor. Exhausted laughter and sighs tangle overhead as another long day finally staggers to an end. Stretching after work, I dodge the grinning supervisor's invitation to gamble again. Giving my usual smile and hurry through the changing room to swap stained navy for cleaner clothes. Waving to my colleagues, I join the homeward-bound line, shuffling through familiar factory corridors, never alone. Always under the supervisor's watchful gaze, steps tracing routine exile. Hesitation shadows every step. Daydreams of slipping away fizzle as we pass the research building's gentle glow, elegance glimpsed beyond shuttered windows just out of grasp, hope dissolving fast. Pinned by barbed walls, swept up in a tide of workers funneling out the iron gate, my stubborn vow rings hollow. Another promise to wait for the next test flight and chase impossible answers. Unexpectedly waiting, Lucas Redan reclines on a bench at the streetcar stop, waving an unlit cigarette and meeting my surprise with trademark lazy defiance, as if nothing could ruffle his calm. Lucas sidesteps my questions with a grin, insisting I'd have followed him anyway, and dangling the promise of secret routes, his sly charm both grating and faintly reassuring as dusk thickens. He teases about being a civil servant who knows everything. Yet when I ask for help getting close to the dragon pilots, he agrees, mysterious hope flickering behind his nonchalant mask. He leads the way to a side street, pointing at a grimy sewer cover. Explaining the secret route with dry assurance, magic lamp at the ready, undeterred by filth. Annoyingly matter-of-fact. Reluctant leap into darkness, Lucas nudges me forward, sewer stink rising. I land with a splatter, nerves jangling as his calm footsteps follow down the ladder. Lamp ignites the world anew. Cloth mask pressed tight, senses dulled to stench. He explains how he tracked sewer maps, found the secret path, prepared every detail with gruff pride, his care disguised behind constant sarcasm. Twisting through maze-like tunnels, I question his motives. Lucas's silence, then gruff boast about risking lung disease for secret maps, leaves me somewhere between exasperation and gratitude. Crossroads underground, Lucas guesses the exit, dismissing hesitation with sardonic calm. Anger bubbles as I scale the ladder, his laughter echoing darkly, our bickering masking a fragile trust. Fresh air and moonlit blank open space. Out of the manhole, the familiar research building glows in the distance. Lucas beside me, cloudy sky masking our presence as nerves finally settle. Clouds thin overhead. Lucas asks why I wanted me to pilot. He shrugs off my compliment, ever prideful. Yet behind bluster, I sense how much he wants to prove his own worth to us all. He wanders ahead, entranced by moonlight shimmering on scales. At last the dragon's presence seizes my breath. Lucas's hand hovers, awe breaking through sarcasm. Two of us, speechless, side by side. Strange togetherness lingers until a wary voice stings. Air Force officer emerges, questions sharp. Lucas launches into formalities, quick thinking, drawing suspicion and invitation into the open at once. Lucas slips into fast-talking charm, saluting, inventing explanations. Officer's suspicion softens with shared slogans until my question stuns him. Sonia the dragon, not Sonia the woman, is who I seek. Confusion ripples between us, the officer blinking in disbelief, Lucas echoing his shock. Old wounds ache as I stumble through explanations that never quite bridge the gap of what we mean by Sonia. First moments remembered. Father's arms cradling me, and Sonia's gentle blue eyes, shimmering as I reached out in wonder at a silver-scaled guardian far larger than my childhood self. Long before memories formed, Sonia patrolled our estate, her eyes shining each dusk. I fell for dragons, her mighty warmth contrasting the world, kindness wrapped in scales. That encounter changed everything. Sonia's scales, the story spilling between Oscar and the pilot Ian, their laughter leaves me just nodding along, an awkward third in their shimmering world. Nothing introduced us until now, handshakes exchanged, names revealed at last. I sense camaraderie even while a silent question lingers. Why does Oscar's past with dragons feel so tangled? Fresh introductions grow lighter. Oscar's joy brightens the moonlit square as Ian reassures him about Sonia's health, their voices weaving into the night, letting old worries loosen and drift. Wild banquet lights beckon, but Oscar refuses Ian's offer. Loyalty and uncertainty swirl inside me as the warmth of their laughter fades, replaced by distance and a strange, empty chill. Streetcar rattles forward, city lights flickering past. Oscar's answer, to keep watch over you, makes me laugh. The harsh steel interior and tired passengers trigger memories of home and subway rides. Oscar's pride slips. I tease him for letting Lucas get his contacts instead, but the truth is, I collected Ian's info, not for romance, but for practicality, wary of future dangers ahead. Next meeting already promised. Ian mistakes me for a dragon fanatic, but his address and phone number join my contacts. The chill lingers though, as I accept another bit of social armor. Oscar's lips tighten as my question lands. Why does a dragon heir slave at the factory instead of living in luxury? No answer, just silence settling in, heavy as the rattling train. Quick speculation topples Oscar's defenses. Fighting over Sonia and family rank brought him here. His startled eyes make it clear I've stumbled onto the truth behind his odd hesitance. Everything tumbles out. Oscar's guarded confession of brotherly rivalry and shattered expectations. I recognize this pain, earning his awe and a wry smile despite the static in the air. Oscar exposes family secrets, noble rights bought with new money, old blue blood hostility. As I listen, quiet empathy grows. He is less naive, more thoughtful than I dared to guess. Later, chance words reveal more. My gentle ribbing eases weight from Oscar's heart. I sense trust forming, hardened by White Raven order vows, yet carrying all the warmth of new friendship. Dawn finds us gathered. Oscar at Mrs. Schmidt's table, Lucas tossing sausage to Colin, Daniel scribbling in a rush. Laughter and egg-splattered notes, the homey chaos soothes nerves worn thin. Breakfast almost finished. Oscar politely offers Mrs. Schmidt lodging fees for his long stay, but her warm refusal redefines the guest-friend line, brushing off debts for kindness' sake. Oscar grins, planning a grateful kiss on Mrs. Schmidt's cheek, laughter trailing after their brief hug. I too smile, home folding in around us, safety tucked between small tokens of affection. Oscar ponders the oddity. A week's gone by repeating each day's small rituals with Lucas, comfort settling so deeply he almost forgets the strange path that first brought him here. Days blur, Lucas waiting by the factory gate, no complaint as Oscar trails him everywhere. Kindness blurs with convenience. Soon, he's another boarder in a found family he never expected. One night's kitchen laughter. Lucas's quick wit draws even me in. The nastiness masks warmth and sharpness, his dragon stories and cheeky playfulness shifting the night's mood to welcome. Oscar's doubts finally catch up. Are we monitoring him, or the other way around? Lucas's mocking grin and Daniel's gentle shoulder pat tell him the trap's already closed. In friendship. Lucas's words sting. You only just realized? Daniel chuckles. Oscar, caught in their ploy, erupts, but laughter comes with it as the truth lands. White Raven order means more than vigilance now. Hard-won trust settles as Oscar reflects. This order offered more than he expected. Even if young and flawed, we've sworn to each other, and that makes this messy, ragged world feel possible. The morning rush, Lucas at the door, Oscar rushing after, their banter alive with new understanding. True trust is earned in small moments, we learn, not in victories or grand speeches. Lucas warns his days of patience end. Oscar must navigate alone now. The realization dawns. Lucas deliberately wins hearts one friend at a time, and Oscar was only the first, not the last. Early autumn air pricks sharply as I leave for work. I cross District 13 on purpose now. George's call for newspapers punctuates my morning with routine, habit forming before I know it. Strange these matters now preoccupy me. Unfamiliar codes govern boys like George. Among newsboys, hierarchy's a thing. He reigns over these corners, earning wary respect and space. Every morning I buy papers, one from each company Georg represents. His cautious courtesy never yields to trust, but persistence becomes its own sort of opening. When Lucas first appeared, I'd secretly hoped he was a mage. A grand story might have eased a destitute boy's trials. Civil servant or not, I watched anyway. My approach is careful, never ask for more, never pry. When I do buy lunch, I thank George, and our routine becomes a silent but sure kind of alliance. I catch glimpses of his resolve. Dirty hands, trembling with effort, stain the pure bread I pass him. Still, George chews quietly, resigned and watchful, trust never freely given. Taste triggers memory as I eat. I think of another, a home-cooked meal. Not dry bread, nor gruel. This touch of sweetness and salt was once love itself. Birdsong wakes me. Today's my birthday, 10 at last. Mother and my little brother share breakfast with me. Father's busy, but in my chest hope stirs bright. Mother asks if we'll visit father. I nearly burst. I've always wanted to see his newsroom, hear the presses whirl, watch news spring from ink and paper. The surprise. Magic lights flood the dim room, reporters shouting my name, father's arms full of cake, bursts of laughter and firecrackers. I forget my disappointment in joyful chaos. Sweet whipped cream lands on father. Laughter erupts as even the pretty secretary teases us with tastes. Piles of presents. Father's laughter. I think I might burst. Later we're heading for a restaurant. Everyone buoyant, teasing father about his wallet. The world feels whole. My hopes fill every corner, sharp and shimmering new. Sudden thunder, special police burst in. Voices shouting. A young reporter falls under blows. The air thickens with fear as everything crumbles much too fast. They drag father away, staff cuffed beside him. Mother shields us, her voice trembling. It'll be okay. My world narrows to her arms, broken faith sharp inside. Afterward, teachers shun me. Mother vanishes for days, returns with bruises hidden beneath sleeves. I overhear her desperate pleas, forgiveness sought, but the city's heart is hard. That winter I sneak to the shuttered office, tear planks from the window with bleeding hands, and swear I'll someday reclaim what was lost to Kruger's night. The last copy of the newspaper pressed to my heart. My tiny voice vows, I'll bring back our name when Kruger's empire crumbles, no matter how long it takes. Mother's death comes quietly, house echoing with sorrow. I stand in the corridor, maids weeping, and watch all light go out from her withered form. Dragged by the hand of a civil servant, I clutch the newspaper and necklace, the only things left of home. My brother and I soon separated for good. Orphanage life bleached all color, gray walls, bland meals. I find my file, shred it, and break out, leaping toward a harsher freedom, alone but no longer anyone's child. Cold day, Lucas hands off another sandwich, but this time Georg grips my sleeve. Heart thudding, I freeze as hope and old wounds mingle in his trembling voice. For 2 weeks I waited for this. Georg, usually wary, asks me for help at last. His voice cracks. Can you find just one person, brother? Hope trembles, fragile, new. Trudging into the dusty archive, I thumb through rows of population registries. The surname Roman isn't here. A lead ends before it ever lived. I smother my frustration beneath coughs. I slide the registry back on its shelf and groan. Georg asked about District 5, not here in unlucky District 13. My mind drifts through Ludelheim's twisting patchwork of districts. Cloudy memories of District 5 haunt me. Each Ludelheim district is its own world, from floating royal's fortress above all, to sprawling slum labyrinths below. How do I cross this gap? Determined, I promise myself not to back away now. I want the White Raven Order to be more than a rumor. Gritting my teeth, I wrestle down dread and leave the archives behind. Bringing food again, I find Georg huddled in the alley's shadows, eating fast, lips pressed tight. I gently pass him the sandwich. He tries to hide disappointment when I shake my head. No news yet. Georg's hope flickers out as I speak, but I try to reassure him anyway. He claims, still guarded, that it isn't his brother. I just smile, certain I see straight through his battered pride. I finally ask for family details, but Georg hesitates. When he reveals his father ran Die Welt daily, shame and loss cloud his voice. For a moment, anger at injustice sparks between us. After letting the silence sit, I rise, joints aching. Promising better news next time, I leave Georg with a thank you he forces out politely, our uneasy trust still shrouded in distance. The steady tap of shoes, then Major Werner stops beneath the pale streetlight. Lucas bends, stretching odd angles, his black cloaked shadow joined by a vigilant little dog. Major's hand tenses at his pistol. I catch only glimpses, but tension builds as Lucas faces Werner's cold suspicion. Their quiet power struggle crackles. Lucas's offer is calculated. A loyal dog for a true answer, more risk than comfort. The bargain is struck. I'll be your hound so long as you feed me what I need. Werner's eyes narrow as he shakes on it. His mind, half bored, half hunting, tests my limits with a nod. By dawn, I'm on the rails with George, crushed in a silent crowd bound for the countryside. Trains here are sleek and nearly soundless, crowded to bursting by weekend laborers longing for home. Candy pressed to my nose against the stench, I watch George's nerves fray. He clutches his ticket, face paler with every station. Neither of us talk. The next stop might remake his world forever. Departing the train, we endure a rattling coach ride farther into the country. I barely hold in nausea as Georg watches the fields whip past, grief and hope tightening his small hands to fists. At last, we reach a modest country mansion. I rehearse introductions in my mind as Georg pads ahead, face drawn. He presses close to the gated bars, searching for someone remembered through tears. Inside the green garden, a man's laughter peals as he plays ball with a fair-haired boy, Theodore. Carefree, Theodore races barefoot, innocence undisturbed by any trace of pain or memory of loss. Curious, Theodore peers through iron bars at Georg, then shyly offers an apple through the gate. Georg accepts, silent, shocked by his brother's healed and gentle innocence. My throat aches for them both. A woman's voice calls from the window, gentle and loving. Theodore grins back, scampering away inside, apple gone. In that fleeting instant, a whole new family radiates from the open window. Georg wipes the apple, offers it to me, his smile brittle. Our feet crunch together in silent retreat, neither voicing what we feel. The mansion looms behind, safe and far as another world. A yellow-tinged magazine in the mailbox catches George's gaze, its headlines full of empty praise for the supreme leader. Bitterness flares between us, old wounds prodded by ink and political pretense. Resolved, Georg finally voices his doubts. Does he have the right to re-enter Theodore's world and shatter it? His eyes tremble, glancing up at me for judgment he'll never accept or forgive. Insisting truth is sometimes best left unspoken. I sense Georg would stop me if I tried. He snaps. Am I always so self-assured? My answer, unfazed, elicits a faint smile born of resignation. Brilliant sunlight bathed my desk, while my hand flipped textbook pages beneath the professor's droning monotone. Drowsy classmates nodded off, spring's warmth seeping into every joint. Underlining sentences slowly, I tracked each phrase even as the professor droned about struggle, class, ethnic, cultural, clinging to the dictator's script with relentless, stifling devotion. Raising my hand at last, I watched the professor pause, his faded eyes wary. He deflected with practiced evasion. Questions belong in the office, curiosity discouraged inside these walls. Wandering through crowded campus paths as daylight faded, I watched students gather under the beech tree, drawn by rumors and danger, whispering through the leaves, tension humming softly. Suddenly something whipped my cheek in the wind, a scrap of thin paper, trembling with forbidden words. I froze, pulse pounding as I realized what danger clung easily to my skin. Glancing at the flyer, the words "Kruger is a mad dictator" seared into my mind. I instinctively tossed it away. Icy chills radiating outward, no one wanted to touch such dangerous truths. Tension rippled as a stern police officer appeared, questions sharp beneath a veneer of politeness. Before I could reply, strangers stepped in, shielding me with practiced, careful words. Quickening my pace away, heart racing in my chest, I thought of the hidden dangers that crept unseen. Campus emptied as dusk, and stories of disappearances wound tightly in my memory. On the edge of summer vacation, I wandered vacant campus buildings, clutching a battered textbook, feeling both hunted and ghostly, searching hollows for traces of secret, forbidden messages. Finally, finding resolve, I knocked on the professor's door. Old book gripped in trembling hands, frustration coiled beneath my calm. The office glowed faintly yellow behind frosted glass. Nervous greeting escaped my lips. But as I challenged the supreme leader's dogma, the professor's smile cracked. panic veiling the affection and guilt in his worried, rigid gaze. When my words broke through the careful silence, the professor snapped, ordering me out. Yet behind his anger simmered helpless concern, deep shame, and a teacher's crushed, silent empathy. Roving campus halls with a withdrawal form hidden in my bag, days blurred by longing and emptiness, I haunted old beach routes, searching for answers, yet found only my own silent shadow. From my days, a tall young man with soft auburn hair sat beside me, his hand extended in greeting, Richard's calm, gentle gaze inviting me to step forward into something utterly unknown. Rain pounding outside my window snapped me awake, neck aching. I dozed at my desk, cheek pressed to papers copied in secret, the memory of Daniel still bright in my thoughts. Stretching numbly, I hid the secret flyers away, just as a maid's knock came at the door. Sunlight spilled inside, and my body moved with the weight of lonely daily rituals once more. Descending to breakfast, I found the hall empty and quiet as always. Only my mother's ghost-like figure appeared, drifting through rays of sunlight and silence, world reduced to faded color. Eating alone in the cavernous dining room, I felt nothing. Emptiness had weathered me to stone. My father's absence was a relief. The memory of his violence ground into numb acceptance. Thinking of my mother's pain, I promised myself not to give in. Memories of secret meetings, of forming the White Raven Order, returned. Those stolen moments were the only times I truly breathed. Attending lectures was routine, but my status as valedictorian remained unchanged. After class I avoided home, seeking relief from that stifling house before night forced me to return. Arriving at the family doctor's clinic, I played my part, claiming injury to the nurse and entering Richard's office, tension straining every movement. This meeting was meant to heal nothing. Doctors have gentle hands but colder hearts. When I urged Richard to remember our years in the order, his kind eyes shut me out. He reduced our history to trivial stories among friends. It hit me then. Richard never belonged to anything, always ready to vanish. I recognized the wall behind his smile and realized our friendship meant less than even an amiable estrangement. Soft dismissal ended our talk. Richard called the nurse, wrote my prescription, promised nothing. I stood in the clinic's entry, painkillers clutched, unable to leave my own ache behind. Lately I've worked alone, slipping flyers through hidden corners of Ludelheim. Night after night I copy lines, then disappear in new districts, hoping not to run into anyone I know. Every night copying her own leaflets is grinding. It's tedious and risky, but printing shops aren't safe. Before dawn I stuff the flyers into my bag, heart pounding with dread. Tailoring new excuses, I travel the city to scatter truth. Museums, downtown blocks, shopping streets, always somewhere new, lest I draw suspicion for wandering where I shouldn't belong. Inside Ludelheim's campus, I stroll unnoticed. Students, professors, visitors, all convenient camouflage. No one pays attention as I scan shaded corners for an untouched hiding place. First notice that bench's occupant by accident. Pale, tired eyes lost in thought, hair unruly, too small and wan. At first I mistook him for some hapless grad student about to collapse. Never expected to see Lucas Redan lounging at my lecture hall. My steps stiffen, but he's already behind me, voice calm, hand firm on my shoulder. I'm invited to join his club. Many would have laughed, but I covered his mouth and scanned for eavesdroppers. Lucas only grinned devilishly, his eyes crinkling, as if chaos was a private joke shared between us. Dragged Lucas to my secret hideaway behind the chapel, where broken statues sleep beneath weeds. Shadows and stories of old ghosts fill the air. Here I could confront him safely. Questioning his presence, I kept my chill. Lucas explains he just wanted me to come back, but stays calm even as I reject him. His relentless ease left me numb and furious. Lucas stood to leave, promising to return by lunch tomorrow regardless. I scoffed, thinking he was insufferable. Yet a part of me wondered what ridiculous stunt he would pull next time. Annoyance gnawed at me all day, even during class and while roaming campus after. Even books at home couldn't distract from how Lucas's blankly smug look lingered in my mind. During lunch each day, Lucas always sits alone by the humanities building. Identical sandwich, doll-like posture, newspaper sometimes in his hands. I don't greet him. He never initiates again. Lucas never speaks again, just quietly invades the edge of my days. It's more irritating than anything, and oddly impressive how stubbornly he repeats the exact same routine for days on end. But today, as I stake out the empty bench from a quiet classroom, I realize with a start, he's not there. Panic creeps in, each minute stretching as dread knots my stomach. Time drags as I wait, wild theories swirling. Maybe arrested, maybe something worse. I bolt for the courtyard behind the chapel, throat tight. But neither Lucas nor anyone else is there. Ordinary mornings feel strange. Oscar seems right at home. Colin's tail thumps the hall. Oscar jokes about moving in, bragging about Mrs. Schmidt's hospitality. I'm enjoying this too much. Oscar, cheerful as always, makes everything feel lighter. It's easy to forget my worries, though deep down I'm uneasy about letting anyone get too close. Still, I'm grateful for him. Trying to run, my chest burns, coughing fit follows every burst of energy. Oscar teases, I grumble, it's always been this way. Still, I'm healthier here than the real Lucas ever was. We rest, Oscar poking fun, questions circling Erica's coldness. I boast, even someone like her can be persuaded, it's just a matter of showing up, helping and outlasting their indifference. Oscar's optimism makes the air lighter, almost like a friend, yet my focus stays sharp. Erica must rejoin the order. As key personnel, what I need from her is capability, not affection. Back home, peace swells until the phone jars the quiet. Johann Werner's flat cheer chills my nerves. He reminds me to keep my promise, tells me a letter awaits in the mailbox. After hanging up, I rush to find a plain envelope in the mailbox. Johann's message stings more than any threat. Now I must play advertising model, or he'll have me arrested on the spot. Pre-dawn air chills my hands as I clutch the bag tight, heart racing wildly. Every sound is suspicious. No one must see me. Still, determination keeps my feet moving forward. Under the dim bluish sky, I move quickly and quietly. Flyers disappear one by one, tucked beneath windows, hidden in brick corners, wedged where only the sharpest eyes could find them. Exhausted footsteps approach from behind. When I turn, Lucas's shadow glides into view, eyes rimmed dark as ever. Somehow my tension uncoils the instant I see that tired, familiar face. Lucas's silent grin unsettles me. He snatches the flyers and begins working quietly, gesturing skyward for silence. Arguing is pointless. All I can do is help before the sun betrays us. Every flyer perfectly hidden, I sweep the campus with my eyes. Nothing suspicious remains. Lucas acts casual as if we just met for a stroll, but suspicion tugs at my heart with every word. Lucas offers breakfast as if we're friends. I bristle, refusing, but he persists. His smile is shameless. The crumpled sandwich in his coat feels suspiciously like a bribe to lure me back. When I press Lucas about why he missed yesterday, his face hardens, then quickly masks it with a joke. His words hit me. You're not part of the White Raven Order anymore. The world spins violently. Even as I stagger, nausea twisting my gut, Lucas's worried hand reaches out. I recoil, refusing comfort. Shame and humiliation choke me. The urge to flee is stronger than common sense. I run, unable to face him. Apologies die in my throat. Shame and regret burn hotter than my pride. Still, even as I vanish down the path, I know I'll ache for days over this stupid escape. Chasing after Erica exhausts me. Lungs burn, cough seizes my chest. I wipe saliva from my mouth and straighten. All that's left is a glimpse of her vanishing into the morning crowds. Sitting on a cold bench to recover, I realize something new. Erica might be the one who's truly obsessed, despite her aloof act. The order clearly mattered more to her than I ever guessed. Back on my feet, I wander among laughing students, always searching for Erica. Their joy is a background blur. I'm only focused on the secret undercurrents and threats no one else notices today. Seeing Erica near the main gate, relief flickers. But a wall of OSL uniforms and students packed in line raise my guard. Bags searched, belongings dumped. Any defiance quickly cracked down. My mind races, random searches, OSL brutality flaring unchecked. I grab Erica's shoulder, murmuring warnings. An officer's shout freezes us. Erica's face drains of color. I grit my teeth in dread. No time for doubt. I take Erica's bag and boldly step forward. Presenting my badge, invoking Major Johann Werner's name, I bluff through layers of suspicion and rigid OSL hierarchy. I hand the flyers over as evidence. The OSL, more interested in rank than reason, falls in line. Our gamble pays off. Together we breeze through the gate before anyone can object. Only safe when we're blocks away, I finally halt. Lungs aflame, heart surging. Erica studies me, uncertainty in her eyes. I quickly pass her bag back, urging her to ditch it for safety's sake. Unwrapping a squash sandwich, I offer Erica breakfast again. She wavers, hands trembling, finally accepting. Her whispered thanks is all she manages. Sometimes gratitude says more than speech. With grave sincerity, I plead for Erica's return. I promise to fix whatever drove her away. She blinks at the words, both hope and old pain reflected in her glimmering eyes. Doubt and longing swirl inside her. Could she face everyone again after making such a scene? I diffuse her guilt with a smile, joking about self-importance. Sometimes, all it takes is kindness. I promise that Richard can return too. I'll bring him back. Erica's eyes search me for truth. When I swear, sincere and unwavering, a smile finally spreads across her face for the first time. That night, Johann sits behind his desk, flyers in hand. Wordless but intent, his cruel smile grows as he imagines revenge. Even from afar, my name is a weapon for others, unleashing inevitable ripples. Bitter childhood glimpses shape every choice. Fruit for others, kindness mocked, justice punished. I learned how the strong eat the weak, and the weak survive by turning on weaker prey. Factory manager's son took what he wanted, sweets, toys, those rare fruits. I stood by, silent, wishing for courage but clutching my weakness instead. Childhood envy burning like a secret scar. Once, our sadistic teacher vanished, dragged away by grim Ossel men. Months later I saw him again, crawling, half-crippled and mumbling on foreign dirt, not even a ghost of his former terror. Black-furred puppy, a friend. One day a bully's heavy boot ended its life, rage exploding from me. I attacked, only to return home battered and sobbing into the emptiness my fists could not fill. Parents trembled as they scolded. Never fight back, never cross the powerful. I realized my rage hurt them most. My hands wanted justice, but cowardice made sure we only survived, not lived. Next morning, the law's corrupted face brought a new puppy. The officer grinned, towering. My parents shrank smaller. Cold, grateful words slipped numbly from lips that longed to spit instead. Each morning I paraded that dog past the police, playing the soft pawn, smiling, head patted, pride replaced by empty obedience. To survive, I learned to seem harmless, masking hatred with practiced kindness. The day I received that medical school letter, my dog whimpered, old and gray, curling up one last time. Under cover of midnight, I buried him behind the very station I'd feared. Returning what I'd been given, life filled with debts I could never repay. Night soil between broken fingers, a grave too small for memory. I sealed grief with a smile, another mask layered on. Growing older, I sanded myself dull, no spark, no sharpness to threaten or provoke. Such a harmless smile, such studied calm, kept me safe. Part of the furniture, admired then soon forgotten. Hand on the mask by habit. Every word gentle, every smile soft. Confession. I let everyone burden me so I would not burden them. Caring dulled connection, loneliness hiding in plain sight. Friendships and loves faded fast, my affable surface repelling even as it seemed to draw. Wordless disappointments circled behind my back, but the world only saw a diligent, decent son and student. Masks upon masks, I buried doubt beneath the ordinary. By the time I entered medical school, suspicion died, leaving me a model youth, bland enough for parents and teachers to trust completely. First time at high society party, towering hotel all glass gold and grandness. Invitation pressed politely into palm, I readied myself for spectacle and performance I never cared to master. Inside, old tricks offered little comfort, glittering chandeliers and crowded laughter, auction of priceless things for charity. Yet under showy clothes, I saw only vanity dulling every bite I took. Eyes met across the room. Erica Breitner, a mirror of her father's power in cold miniature. I smiled. Her scorn said everything about the cost of learning to survive this greedy world. Erica's words cut sharp. Disgust at her own world, held tight by privilege and loneliness. Etiquette demanded I extend a hand, so I did, both of us negotiating class boundaries in silence. President Breitner's hearty laugh thundered, handing his daughter the knight's prize dress, demanding I play doctor for his pride's sake. I hid dismay behind practiced composure, performing as both guest and servant. Pushed into medical display, palpating Emmett Breitner's swollen ankle on party chair. One practiced push, a satisfying pop, and his booming approval. I performed, earned trust, masked resentment beneath relief. That moment's favor turned to an offer, become Erica Breitner's private tutor, the start of a costly bargain. Smiling, I accepted, fortune trading hands with fate in a single word. Twice a week, the mansion's cold grandeur set the tone, rain painting windows gray. Through a crack, I watched Erica tear her prize dress apart, rebellion stitched with silent tears. Erica's tears accused everyone, myself included. Why doesn't anyone ask why she suffers? I played neutral comfort, hiding curiosity, letting her grief bleed out, aware she clung to any listener. Pretending not to notice her longing, I kept boundaries clear. But years later, Erica became my undoing, grabbing my hand and dragging me into the White Raven Order's shadows, sharing danger and defiance. I lived to please, not to fight, no regret for following family, profession, even revolution shadows. Never leading, always adapting, my mask thicker than hope, but lighter than true disappointment. Bitterness, not regret, colored the silence, roles performed, never truly chosen. Even Erica sensed how my mask had become my skin. Maybe that's why she stayed, until she finally didn't. A nurse's knock breaks the haze. President Breitner's letter awaits, another invitation to a world grown no kinder. Expecting my mask to work its old magic once again, despite everything that's changed. A decision weighed on me, should I attend this party or not? Richard always acted fast, but tonight every second crawled by, dread growing sharper as sunset sealed my choices. Putting on my suit, I steeled myself for the journey. Old habits returned, mask politeness, be the Breitner family's loyal doctor, and maintain a distance no invitation could erase tonight. As the carriage rolled through District 8's glitter, party lights danced on glass. Determined to separate business and heart, I practiced an indifferent smile no one would ever believe. Inside the grand hall, I felt unmoored, a guest lingering at the edge of another world. Erica passed by, navy dress swirling, eyes cold, her greeting brief but laced with unspoken history. Polite conversation masked my unease. President Breitner played his part, but the laughter was hollow. I sampled delicacies, drifting through the party as an outsider despite familiar faces. Dancing wasn't for me. I let myself fade into the background, refusing matchmaking and silent to hints about marriage. Family expectations pressed down, distant as the party's laughter. Odd couples danced, plans spun around me, but I stood apart. The ties I'd cut could never be retied. I would not burden anyone, nor return to that place I'd left so long ago. Alone in a dim guest room, I loosened my tie and tried to breathe. Her presence lingered, Erica's indirect nearness haunting me, each minute stretching longer than the music below. A flutter in the window caught my eye, then Lucas Redan appeared, smiling with devil's confidence, moonlight sharpening every edge. Before I could respond, fireworks erupted across the sky. Beer foam and secrets churned. Erica, lips red with beer, denied certainty in persuasion, her eyes hungry for hope. Surrounded by familiar friends, doubts flickered behind every toast tonight. Promises looped between us, Erica's firm defiance one moment, fragile resignation the next. Daniel's questions pried at possible plans, yet the answers still danced out of reach for all. I entered as a patient, offering my bruises as ticket. Richard, platinum hair shining under clinic lamps, said little. The ritual of cold ice on pain-covered truths we both avoided. While Richard's touch was careful, I felt every wall he'd built. His smile, polite but detached, offered no entry, healing only skin. Every word was an invitation to hurry out again. I returned defeated. Erica's scolding lashed as Oscar choked on laughter, and Daniel threatened. In District 13's smoky cave, bitterness hummed beneath each failed attempt to reach our friend. Efforts failed, so I gathered intelligence. Friends described Richard as distant, yet decent. Except Erica's assessment, frank and cold, sliced through the room's good intentions like winter air. Outside, in the alley's chill, I faced Erica with my question, her composure cracked, cheeks flushed crimson in night's shadow, admitting her old affection before steeling herself once more. Erica's prideful calm wavered again as I swore, half sincere, to bring Richard back. She pushed my arrogance away, refusing to indulge hope, yet her hand trembled with worry. A solution emerged. Erica remembered the annual Brightener party. Her reluctance masked concern. Pride warred with longing. My plan at last snapped into focus, hope flickering cold in the night. Lucas was no longer a shadow. Tonight's confrontation exploded. I lunged for the door, but Lucas moved first, blocking escape, determined to shatter my walls with reckless, hungry intent. Lucas's words were blades, reminding me I was still chained to the Order's old promises. Child's plays turned life and death. Belief and rebellion tangled, our battle raging under moonlight scrutiny. You crazy bastard. Those words burst out before I could stop myself. Lucas's madness was infectious, his laughter echoing in the chamber as fear and hope twisted inside me. Lucas doubled over laughing, his words tasting of madness and desperation. He insisted only killing the Supreme Leader could save countless lives like ours from annihilation. Nothing came to mind as Lucas hissed warnings about war-mad leaders and crushed continents. His paranoia burned raw, and then he attacked, sending me sprawling backward. Stars swam in my vision as Lucas pressed a gun to my chest, his gaunt face pale above me. He demanded I see that words had limits in a brutal world like ours. Trying to reason only stoked Lucas's madness. He taunted that even I was extreme in my own way, our standoff a twisted reflection of lost choices in this world. When Lucas yelled the Supreme Leader's name, panic jolted through me. His voice thundered off the walls and threatened disaster if anyone overheard us from the corridor. Lucas's wild toasts to white purity, and the Supreme Leader reduced me to stunned exhaustion. While I struggled, his twisted humor filled the air, threatening to bring us both down. As Lucas collapsed laughing, I seized my chance to sit up and shove him off. His pistol slid away, relief banishing the agony of fear and frantic confusion for a flicker. Lucas taunted again that, without a loaded gun, he was defenseless, then nudged my pride, pushing me until I nearly lost control. The pressure made my resolve shatter for a moment. Lucas's confession that Erica had sent him silenced me. The wound of trust reopening as he named her, his half-grin a veil for some deeper pain, neither of us voiced aloud. A loaded silence. If I returned, would Lucas truly trust me again? I weighed the pistol's empty weight in my palm, his laughter mocking how easily I was tricked by a simple bluff. Embarrassment claimed me as Lucas unveiled his empty gun trick. I'd walked into his trap, my heart pounding with a strange combination of humiliation, relief, and long-buried anger. Shame boiling over, I finally swung my fist, connecting with Lucas's mocking grin. It wasn't elegant, but some grudges demanded a tangible answer when words failed to suffice. Party lights shimmered outside while I dabbed ointment around Lucas's black eye. A performance for the onlookers, masking the rough truth of what had passed between us inside. Lucas shrugged, confessing under Erica's cool stare that he'd been beaten up. I could only retort coldly and let the anger mask a prickling hint of affection beneath the surface. Lucas's defiance faded fast when his stomach rumbled louder than the fireworks outside, and Erica groaned. After a day spent hiding, hunger trumped all conspiracies and bruised pride. As I slipped away, President Breitner's hand clamped on my shoulder. His stern face shadowed my resolve, reminding me I would soon shed his authority forever after graduation. Looking at the marble floor beneath his shoes, I let the memory of old arguments with father fade. Graduation meant I'd be free. No reason to start another pointless fight tonight. Parties disgusted me. The courtship, the false laughter, the guests who worshipped power. I watched them in a haze, certain I'd never belong, feeling my own emptiness grow deeper. When a stranger pressed a kiss to my hand, disgust prickled my skin. Lucas's voice from the shadows mocked the whole farce. He alone seemed to see the cracks within me. Lucas confronted Richard in the dim servant corridor, pushing him to see Erica's hidden pain. Even I could see the truth in their words, no matter how I resisted it. Later, sneaking food to Lucas, I found him waiting in the half-lit hallway. When he invited me to dance, I nearly refused, but his awkward earnestness broke through my guard. Lucas's idea of dancing was more flailing than waltz, but I laughed until my chest hurt. His oddness let me forget the ugly world outside, if only for a song or two. Morning's chill brought our white raven friends to Mrs. Schmidt's, the kitchen brimming with tension and warmth as after months apart, we gathered again. 6 changed lives at one table. We feasted on Mrs. Schmidt's pantry leftovers. Georg devoured food. Oscar joked. I sat in silence. Old wounds began to knit back together as familiar laughter thawed winter's first bite. Logs popped in the fire, and the kitchen glowed. Daniel's deliberate toast drew us together, offering thanks and kindness. For a heartbeat, I truly believed our broken trust might be repaired. When Oscar declared our friendship, relief brightened the room. Even Richard nodded, cornered by acceptance. But Lucas's sly smile returned, hinting another storm would soon disrupt this fragile peace.